And the first ever UN Food System Summit was held last week in New York as part of the high-level meetings of the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The summit sets the stage for global food systems transformation to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. It saw nearly 300 commitments from hundreds of thousands of people from around the world and across all constituencies to accelerate action and to transform food systems. President Muhammadu Buhari restated his administration's commitment to national food security by pledging to invest in food security and nutrition knowledge dissemination, skills development, and information management systems to enhance agricultural productivity for national food security. So how can this come to reality? I'm being joined by the chairman, Best Foods Global, Emmanuel Ijewere. Thank you very much, Mr. Ijewere, for joining me on the program.
Very much.
I'm glad to have you. I hope you didn't have issues coming in here.
No. The traffic was quite good.
Great. Now, this was the first ever food system summit organized by the United Nations. Yeah. What for you is the significance of this summit?
I think it's symbolic and to be commended, especially after the pandemic. The pandemic had a devastating effect on food value chain throughout the world. Nigeria was, in fact, more negatively impacted because while we were fighting the pandemic, we were fighting bandits, we were fighting the herders, we were fighting Boko Haram. All these things created problems for our farmers. And the value chain was very badly disrupted, not to mention the ever-present bad roads we have and also. So it was a very good thing. Nigeria stood to benefit a lot from it.
Now, coming at a time like this, talking about food system, how would you describe the state of food system in Nigeria and, of course, Africa as a whole?
When you talk about Africa, it has to be understood first. Nigeria is a different kettle of fish compared to the rest of Africa. We have a huge population that is, to a large extent, very poor. We also have a vast country. We have a very low level of education. And so when you look at Nigeria as a whole, you discover that it's a country that has a peculiar problem separate from Africa. Other African countries are smaller, and many of them have become a lot more efficient. And the question we will ask yourself is, if you have two fathers, one of them has a family of 15 children, the other has a family of 2 children, they don't have the same problems. So Nigeria has a large number of mouths to feed, having a large number of people to look after. So actually Nigeria stands out because of other ailments we have, that's pre-existing conditions. So Nigeria has a lot of challenge and must now revolutionize to be able to achieve those goals.
Right. You know, most times when we talk about food security, agriculture, a lot of people think more about crop production, going to the farm. But then there's this aspect of the health implication, talking about the nutritional value of the kind of food we eat, which, of course, is also part of the conversation here at the summit, coming the backdrop of this global pandemic where health has become paramount and it exposes, the weak health system that some of the countries, particularly in Africa, like Nigeria, has. Now, what can be done to improve nutritional quality among citizens in Nigeria?
Before we deal with that, first, I segment Nigeria again into 2 groups. Those who live in the villages, they have enough quantity of food to eat. And when you say quality, they eat quality food because they eat organic food. Right. They may not be as sophisticated as the cities. That's the other group. The cities are those who eat processed food. That's where the nutritional situation becomes a challenge. Now, those people, it's important we pay a lot of attention to them and improving the preparation of those foods for them. But to a large extent, Nigeria's basic problem today is the quantum of the food. The quantum. We don't have enough. Why don't we have enough? The Nigerian farmers produce over 130% of the food Nigerians need to eat. But over 60% of that never gets to your table. It's wasted, either in the farm because there are no roads to take it to the market, or on the roads coming with all the checkpoints along the road, or in our own local markets, lack of preservation and so on. So in actual fact, the quantum of food we have is the first stage. Then you now look at the quality of the food. That is the situation. Yes, it's important we do that, but we have a problem, though, about the quality of food in Nigeria, but it's not as prominent as the quantum of food available.
Yeah, when we talk about this quality of food, we now talk about affordability.
Yes.
Because for you to, afford a quality food, I mean, it's pretty expensive here. So
the challenge is simple. Like I said, you're producing a lot of food, 130% of the food we need to eat. Why is it so expensive? It's expensive because we throw away about 60% of it. But that person who bought the food from the village to bring to Lagos must recover his money. Therefore, you pay the high price. You pay for those that are in the dustbin as well as the one that you eat. Those are basically the situation. Therefore, Nigeria's strategy must now move away from this whole idea of let's get more food, produce more food, produce more food. Pay more attention to the preservation of the food God has given us. We have a large quantity of it. So the preservation, the pre-harvest losses are huge, humongous, one of the highest in the world. Now, let's deal with those. And this must start from the local government. Unfortunately, the whole idea of local government starts and ends in the Nigerian constitution. In reality, they don't exist. Because ask Nigerians.
Starting from a local government, and you're talking about preservation.
Yes.
How do they begin to preserve some of this food and then ensure that it gets to the end users?
First, the mode of planting is important, but more importantly, mode of harvesting. Some people's harvesting system destroys the food. I give an example. You want to harvest oranges. You go on top of a tree, you shake it. They fall on the ground. The impact itself creates damage. Some of them get busted there. Some of them are injured inside. By the time they move to the market, they're supposed to go to, they're already gone rotten. Those are some of the things that, so the harvesting system is also important. And simple things through knowledge, through our research institutions, can bring in simple things. Like I gave example of oranges now. Put tarpaulin, ordinary tarpaulin under those trees. When they are shaking them, because we don't have the machines to go and plug them one by one like in developed countries, they fall on the tarpaulin. You will not have more than 5% of them going bad. Whereas the other system loses about 40% of them. So those kinds of things are where we need to link up those who are producing the food and those who have the research knowledge and spreading it up. We are building up a lot of young people who are looking for work. This is the kind of work they could be trained in. So the training of our people and our youths should be brought on board in this kind of situation.
But the youths really do not want to go to that, towards that. Most youths don't want to go towards agriculture, and that has been the issue there.
Youth will want to go if you are able to present it in a manner that is positive. Like Dr. Adesina said, he said, make agriculture sexy, the youths will go there. And I would say between that time and now, a lot more youths have gone into the agricultural value chain. A lot more. I'm involved in the system and I see a lot of young people. Yes, the general mentality is that agriculture is farming, which is not true. And farming is poverty, which is not true.
I mean, you are a chartered accountant.
Yes.
And you had to veer into agriculture. You must have seen something there.
Oh, a lot. Yes, quite a lot. A lot of huge, humongous opportunities. It's a place where you have an opportunity to create wealth for yourself, wealth for other people, and change the lives of people. First of all, understand it. Today's technology is not available to these people in the villages. So I have the privilege of being well educated. So I can access this on the internet. There's so much information there. Our young people just go there and see the little things you need to do to make money from what has been produced. So the emphasis for me right now is not on the production, it's on saving and preserving what we have produced so they can get to your dining table.
Sure. Now, the president, of course, was at that summit and was one of the leaders that actually committed to accelerating action, to transform food systems. So what policy interventions do you hope to see the government come up with in the short to medium term, at least, so that we'll probably match words with action?
In the past, Nigeria, successive governments have been coming up with words, and their body language has always been different. If when the president comes back, let him match his action with his words, with his action. Because agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture today, what's the attitude to it? It's like any other ministry. You put a politician there. That is, we have not fully recognized the fact that our source of income, called oil, is drying up. The world is moving away from it. We cannot move away from feeding ourselves. Therefore, we must deal with that, and that's where we have the comparative advantage. A large portion of our land is available for development. A large portion of our food is available for further processing and semi-processing. These are the things that... So he must come back. For me, I don't see any reason why you won't have 3 ministers or 4 ministers dealing with agriculture specifically. And then
probably
being
looking
given
at the value chain.
Absolutely. And then be given benchmarks. You must achieve this goal, must achieve this goal, that kind of thing. But what has always happened is just a statement, and everybody moves along. We come back again, we make the same statement.
All right, here in Nigeria, we talk a lot about hunger, inflation. A lot of people can't even afford, good food. So what is the place of genetically modified food, in tackling the problem of hunger?
I will put it this way. I have no problem with GMO foods as long as they've been proven not to harm the human body. I, in fact, encourage it because it's a modern way of increasing the quantum of food available to human beings. As of today, if you look at the rate, the yield of our produce, let's take maize, for example. Maize in Nigeria, because everything we've done is organic, we have not gone to the best practices. It's about 4 to 5 metric tons per hectare. Go to Kenya, it's 22 to 35 metric tons per hectare. Go to the United States, also almost 90 metric tons per hectare, because they have adopted the GMO. We need to eat before you start talking about the luxury of that. As long as the food is not harmful to you, I have no quarrel about GMO. When those countries have become so big and they have so much food, they can now start discriminating between which is organic and which is not organic. A hungry man does not understand organic or inorganic.
But then how do you identify, talking about this GMO food, how do you now identify which of the GMO food probably is harmful or not harmful? Because even though you're hungry, you wouldn't want to die eating something that is not good for your body. 99.9% of the food we produce in Nigeria is organic, because they are produced by these farmers who have no idea about these chemicals and so on and so forth, what they have always done. But incidentally, what we have in the stores, mainly imported food, processed food, canned food.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Look, let's understand. We have 2 Nigerias. Lagos is not Nigeria, Ibadan is not Nigeria, Port Harcourt is not Nigeria. The real Nigeria, where 70% of our people live in, are the villages. That's why I said at the beginning, these people eat good food. They may not be expensive. They may not be fancy. But so, to say we are worried and paying attention to the few people who live in the cities will be wrong. Let us improve what those people are able to produce now. Save those organic food they have produced and discourage the importation of these other ones coming to the country. Those are the big ones that we have problems with. That's where we have to recognize that Nigeria is blessed with a lot of land, very fertile land. The ones we are producing, let's make it available to the people. It will be cheaper and it will be more healthy.
So what is the role of agribusiness in strengthening food systems in Nigeria?
Every human being, to a large extent, is a capitalist. Your grandmother in the village, who has a mango tree in front of her house, she ensures that nobody comes to steal her mangoes. And on market days, they pluck and take to the market. She is a capitalist. Encourage that kind of thing. But when you now have a situation where government is in the front of the entire value chain, everything you want to do, the government is there. Government has no idea about business. They have no idea about capitalism. Capitalism drives people to do the best they can. But when government is involved, they report to nobody, they are responsible to nobody. So what we need to do here, quite clearly, is that we've got to encourage people to see the profit that exists in it. And that's how young people will come into it. The average age of the farmer today is over 60. And they're getting old. We need young people to start going into it, but they must see the advantage there, that they have a future in it.
That buttresses what the AFDB president keeps, says continuously: make agriculture a business.
Absolutely.
Perhaps when we do that, the young ones will begin to look at it as a means of job creation, employment for them. Thank you very much, Mr. Ijewere.
Very grateful.
Thank you. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Emmanuel Ijewere is the chairman, Best Foods Global. Okay, we take a break, and when we come back, commodities market update